All right, everyone, there's a story that actually comes from a couple of days ago, which is that the NSA has stopped its collection of metadata using cell phones. And number one, I'm questioning whether this is actually true. Apparently, they didn't reauthorize it or something, the specific program. This was part of the Snowden revelations. Remember, he came out and he said, well, the NSA is collecting all sorts of stuff on you. And the NSA head had to come out and say, well, it's just metadata and it only involves Americans that are in contact with foreigners that happen to be on a watch list. That's the only shit we're collecting. Edward Snowden comes out day 2 and says, you're lying to the American people. And he could prove it. He says, no, it's not just it's not just them, it's everybody. Then they say, oh, yeah, but it's just metadata. I mean, who cares? It's just a prank, man. Then he comes in and says, no, it's not just metadata. It's not just phone-related either. It's actual content from every American, most people overseas, regardless. It's stored indefinitely. It's easily searchable, and so on and so on. By the way, it's also email. It's not just your text messages and your dick pics that you send by phone. It's basically everything. Oh, yeah, but, it's all good. Don't worry. We've got procedures involved to make sure that it's the only way we're looking at it actively is by proper, necessity and stuff, a warrant. Oh, no, says Edward Snowden. You've got such a thing called love int. By the way, agents are spying on their loved ones and their friends using that category, and you're not doing anything about it. So time and time again, the NSA was exposed, flat out lying to the American people. This should have been the biggest Fourth Amendment scandal in our nation's history, but instead the complicit media, because Obama was the president, swept it under the rug. Now they expect me to believe that the NSA has just magically decided, hey, all that data we're gathering? Fuck it. It's not worth it. We're just going to end the program unilaterally. I don't believe it even for a second. No, I think that you're still collecting data. I think you just ended that particular program. What that can mean is this particular header, this particular piece of paper that delineates what the program is, we are canceling it without telling the public, oh, well, yeah, because we're replacing it with another program under a different name with a slightly different purpose. We've retooled it a little bit for modern technology because we can collect data more now. Yeah, now they're probably collecting even more data now, and nobody will be able to look into it unless there's a whistleblower, and we'll find out 5-10 years from now. You fucking watch. We'll find out from the next Edward Snowden that yes, indeed, they lied to the American people. They didn't really end the program. They just changed the header. They changed the program very slightly. They changed a few words around in its purview, and it's still basically there. By the way, that material's still stored. All of the stuff that the NSA wanted to store. Remember when Ted Cruz cucked out and Rand Paul wanted to stop the program? He's like, it's unconstitutional. And Ted Cruz came in and said, well, I agree with Rand, but at the final hour, he's like, well, we'll let the program basically continue because a federal judge had threatened to end the program unilaterally, saying, well, it clearly violates the Fourth Amendment, which it does. That he said, but I'll stay my decision because Congress needs to weigh in. They have the chance to change the program so that the data collecting can continue. It just has to conform to the Fourth Amendment. So they put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. They say, okay, the proper way that we'll do this, we will export the storage and retrieval of that data to private companies. A total fucking workaround. And this was Ted Cruz's idea and Mitch McConnell's idea. This is one reason I will never trust Ted Cruz. I don't care how much he says Trump. Or free bullshit. You're a career politician, you're a crook. You're still, as far as I'm concerned, you still Cruz the loser, just like it's little Marco Rubio. I have no respect for these people, nor should you. Ted Cruz is a fucking sellout, a total constitutional has-been. So he sold this nation out on the NSA spying program. Now, like, oh, don't worry, we're not spying on you anymore. Bullshit. Yes, the federal government has unilaterally decreed that it's no longer going to violate the Fourth Amendment, despite the fact that it got away with it and for several years now has gone unimpeded in so doing. Bullshit. That's not the way that bureaucrats work. The way bureaucrats and government works is, oh, we're ending this program. We've restarted it over here and it's even worse. We'll wait until there's another whistleblower. Then we'll say, oh, sorry, we violated the Fourth Amendment, everyone. We got to keep the data, though, and they'll do the same thing again. And they'll keep doing it again as long as they are enabled by an overreaching, too broad bureaucracy that has gone past all constitutional bounds and experiences no significant repercussions for its unconstitutional actions because everything is veiled so heavily in classified and top secret this is confidential, high-level eyes only. And so it's very, very difficult for anyone to actually know that these things are going on unless one of two things happens. A sympathetic judge accepts a FOIA, which then spends years getting dragged through court and before a committee and everything else before it might get enacted in a redacted form, and then you have to do it again and again to keep clarifying things, or you've got a whistleblower. We got lucky with Edward Snowden. We were lucky that there was a person in the NSA with the technological know-how to access this information, the political reason to want to access this information, and an understanding of the concept of freedom and privacy commensurate with them releasing that information in a very selfless act that caused them to have to leave behind a very, very cushy existence. Very, very cushy. Wasn't he like based in Florida? I mean, Hawaii, I think. So he's living in like tropical wonderland with his girlfriend. He has a six-figure job where he doesn't have to work that hard. He's got like, you know, secret clearance and shit. He's got every possible benefit in the world. He's obviously talented. He could have worked his way up. He could have become a fucking millionaire. And instead, people crucify him because he dared to flee to China. You know, one place without an extradition treaty so he wouldn't get sent back for trying to help this country. And they turned him into a villain. And so I don't even really have any hope for the American people on the issue. They turned on him. The person trying to tell them the truth and saying, look, you're being spied on, your constitutional rights are being egregiously violated, he got turned into a villain. The Republicans, led by like sellout Ted Cruz, had to get involved. It was so bad. To patch it up, to make sure, oh my God, people are going to like, they'll start asking hard questions. Quick, we better do something. We'll do a half-assed gesture to make it look like we care about the Fourth Amendment. Ted Cruz doesn't care. The only one that stood in the way was Rand. Rand and Amash and a few of these other people, the libertarian fringe of the GOP, and a handful of Democrats sort of said, well, you know, it's a bigger problem than just, oh, a fucking leaker at this point. Oh no, says Ted Cruz, we'll just have private companies store the data for the rest of eternity. It's not a problem. After all, Facebook doesn't sell it routinely to foreign countries. You know, now you have the NSA's data collection going through private entities. Yeah, they're not going to do anything wrong with it. Did the NSA tell these companies to scrub the data that they had collected with their own programs and their own features? I bet not. I bet it's still there. I bet it's just been outsourced elsewhere. Maybe they outsourced it to another country. I've always thought that was an interesting idea. Imagine they say, well, the Fourth Amendment protects the American people from being spied on, but it doesn't protect them from a foreign state spying on them. Oh, and we've got data sharing agreements, so we can share what we spy on the British citizens, and we give them this data in exchange for the data on American citizens we might want to spy on but can't. Oh, wonderful, everybody wins. We can keep an eye on everybody in the world because of globalism. That's really what it's about. So no, I don't trust the NSA that they've ended the program. No, they've ended the program under one header. I guarantee they've restarted it and probably made it worse elsewhere. And 5 to 10 years from now, we'll hear from another Edward Snowden telling us just that. And until then, everyone who suggests that that's the case is, of course, a conspiracy theorist. That's about all. Peace out.